Morning Live extended edition of the broadcast of the program as we continue with our focus on matters science and technology. Just looking at some questions, Peter, that have come through on Twitter at Mbuli Vuyo. This one from Sanele_MK. Must have the Minister of Basic Education. She must field some of those tough questions. Do you feel like that, Minister, at all? I do think that some of the stuff, particularly in education, you have been responding to. The other one is about, Minister, can you wish all the matrics who are writing science today good luck? This one comes from Lloyd082. And then integration of youth into the solar business. Is there a plan with regards to that, and also just making sure that there are investors who are willing to get young people involved so that young people can also learn in this particular journey? This one coming from Chikoba. And then just one last one, Peter. This one is about the mineral rights for fracking. Who gives those mineral rights, Minister? And do you have any authority, if at all, to stop it? And would that be something you would want to do?
All right, okay. So I suppose you've got a message for the matric students today.
Absolutely, yes. I'm thinking of you today. And I wish each and every one of you really well. And I hope we're going to increase the success levels in physical science in South Africa. So good luck to each and every one of you, and good luck to all the grade 12 learners who are writing their final exams for the senior certificate this year.
Fantastic. And then the integration of the youth into the solar business. I guess it's not even just solar, is it? It's the whole science spectrum.
Yes, I think it's the whole. But, you know, we only have ever had one minister since democracy in South Africa who understood all portfolios, and that was Professor Kada Asma.
Yes.
I'm not at all at the level of Professor Asma, the late Professor Asma. The best person to answer that question on the solar opportunities is, of course, Minister Dipuo Peters, because that's a sector she's working in. But I know that South Africa is a very interesting place in that whenever we do things, we always ensure there's a woman component to it, there's a youth component, there's a rural component. That's when we do things right. And generally we try to. So I know the National Youth Development Agency has been looking at all these renewable energy opportunities and has been giving dedicated attention, particularly to what's developing in the Northern Cape. But I'm sure you would be able to get greater detail from Minister Peters.
Okay, all right. Well, Minister Peters, I suppose, is very much involved in this next question. It says mineral rights. Who's responsible for giving them? And I think you partly answered earlier on about overriding. Maybe you want to just address
the mineral rights are the responsibility of the Mineral Resources Department. And they would be the ones who would grant the right to explore and to, actually have an exploration and even mining right eventually in the Northern Cape area, should they believe this is something that the country would want to have.
All right. So, and then you said earlier on that there is an act that protects the science aspect, and so where the two will clash,
we will have to use the legislation, obviously.
Okay, all right.
The square kilometre array is an at least 5-decade opportunity for South Africa. 50 years of global infrastructure to be used by scientists of the world to be of benefit to South Africa and Africa. It's an opportunity not to be undermined.
Well, I hope that you and Minister Dipuo Peters will remain friends.
Oh, definitely, yes, we will. I'm sure we will.
All right, let's go to table number 2. Is that Bernard Slippers? Okay.
Minister, thank you very much. The question I had on there related to a question earlier asked to some extent upon brain drain, and you've answered that already, but I'll link on to that. perhaps just say that as a young scientist, I'm here representing the South African Young Academy of Science. So to add to what the motivation to stay here, the way that the department is being run at the moment and your personal leadership there gives hope for us young scientists that the future of our careers are in good hands, and I think that really adds to it. And so I want to just add to that idea. I experience this personally as a highly competitive area where I cannot stay competitive unless I have centers of excellence to which I can link myself. The SKA is a wonderful example of a long-term project where you're establishing that. How are you doing that or seeing that in the long term for the broader sciences in South Africa?
Well, I think I wouldn't want South Africa to be the only African country that does everything. So I really would want us to become more interested in looking at how we can assist the rest of the continent to develop centers of excellence. I know Kenya, for example, is doing some really fascinating work in information communication technologies. How do we link up with that? We have a high performance computing center in Cape Town. Tanzania is interested in establishing one. How do we complement each other? So I'd like us to have many centers of excellence throughout the continent. We're fortunate, we've got the resources. We've already begun to establish centers of excellence in South Africa. It's a dedicated program. I'd like to grow those. But I also want us to look at the continent because I want us to absolutely gain international experience. I'd really love our young people to say, I want to go overseas for 2 or so years, but I'm going to come back here and work because I think this is the exciting place to be. And I'd like when they come back to say, actually, I think I want to really go and work in Guinea or Niger, or I want to go and solve the problem of river blindness in Cameroon because of the skills I acquired in the UK or Canada. So I don't want us to limit what we can do to just an insularity of South Africa. I'd like us to see ourselves as global agents of science and technology. And that's how young people should think of themselves. We should create teams worldwide, work with them. With this malaria initiative,
Right.
It was a colleague, South African, who's now working overseas, who became aware we were investing in research into malaria treatment and wanted to partner with colleagues in the chair we established for drugs discovery and development at UCT. So he, a colleague South African in the UK, drew in a colleague South African in Switzerland, and a whole consortium has been formed. And so it's a brain gain following what we thought was a brain loss, a drain. So brain loss can be brain gain.
Okay.
And we should therefore be far more creative at how we utilize the many tentacles and relationships we've built.
All right. On your website, you say one of your missions is develop R&D innovation to deliver new technology-based industries to the South African economy, energy space, etc., etc. I'm just wondering if there's someone who's got a business idea in the science space. Could he come to the Department of Science and Technology to help get that business off the ground?
Certainly he could come to the department and we'll tell him where to go, which is to the building of the Technology Innovation Agencies or to the Council for Scientific and Industrial Research. TIA is our funding arm for supporting new ideas that have the potential for commercial exploitation. So TIA is certainly doing marvelous work, and I'm extremely excited at this new institution. We are going to be reviewing it. It's now 3 years old, to look at what modifications or improvements we may need to make, but it is our funding body. Recently, they established a youth fund within TIA, so clearly recognizing that ideas will not only come from your experienced technologists or scientists, but that among the young people, there may also be innovations that we should look at.
All right.
So I would direct them to Tia. But of course, poor Tia doesn't have all the money in the world. It's a new baby. We need to ensure it has much more funding, and South Africa must create a venture capital industry in order to ensure we do support innovation adequately.
So-
Can't all be done by government.
All right. Notes to Treasury again. Okay, all right. We're gonna take a quick break, and we're gonna start wrapping things up with a few questions left to put to the minister. If you're at home, quickly tweet now at Mbulivio or at Pandor, and we'll pick up those messages. As we say, we've literally got a few minutes left, and would like to get through as many of that. So let's take a quick break, and then after that, we'll start wrapping things up.
Would it be coming from Papi Masukela? That's one of the questions that's being asked there. The other one is from Ebada, who says, why is it that it's always the US and Europe that are doing the discoveries, research for Africa? We must also stand up. How can we fast track and accelerate that? Ebada asking that last question. And just one more, Peter, would like to know from the minister, what is their role and involvement in the intellectualization of African languages? So perhaps science in Setswana, science in isiXhosa, and so on, Minister. What is happening in that regard? Peter?
My goodness. I can just imagine trying to find a word for aldehydes and ketones in isiZulu. All right, okay. We're running out of time, so I'm going to ask you to race through these answers. Okay, portfolio that you would choose?
Oh, no, portfolios, you're appointed by the president.
There we go. I knew you were going to say that somewhere. Okay, and I think you've sort of answered this question. African discoveries, it's not just the US and China and these other places. We are making discoveries.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, where do people think M-Pesa comes from?
Yeah.
You know, this payment system using the mobile phone, developed on the African continent.
Absolutely.
So I think we shouldn't undermine
Right.
ourselves. There's a lot, you know, that we've done. Where was the first heart transplant done?
Yeah.
Where was the scanner developed? So, you know,
and very importantly,
a number of
the creepy
initiatives
crawly for
have
the
come
swimming
out of
pool.
here.
I mean, that's
Creepy crawly is a big one. See, since I'm not privileged enough to have a swimming pool, it's one of those I forgot, but certainly yes. A lot of work with respect to navigation systems, the transistor, radar technology in the Second World War, a lot of work done here. So I think, you know, South Africa, and of course, just paleontology, the amount of work that's been done with fossils.
That's a brilliant point to end that, the conversation, because unfortunately we have run out of time. But thank you very much for getting us excited about science and technology again. I think you know, sometimes we get caught up about the football and everything else, but there's certainly exciting things happening, and thank you so much for bringing those to our attention. Ladies and gentlemen, the Minister of Science and Technology, Mrs. Naledi Pandor.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
All right, and to the viewers at home, I hope that you're as excited as we've sort of been have become today as a result of this conversation. Again, good luck to the matric students writing science. But have a great day, everyone. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you on Monday. We'll be talking to Mines Minister Susan Shabangu, and of course, very important issues on her table at this moment. So join us on Monday for that. From us, have a great weekend. Bye-bye.